Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's podcast broadcast of This Week in Science. We are here with This Week in Science. It's going to be an amazing show. And this is the pre-show part where I tell you all that the podcast is edited. If you like things edited, this is not edited. This is just us and you having a great time talking about science. So we're so glad that you're here in the chat room. Everybody, click the likes. Hit the shares, get us in the live viewing algos, that algorithm, if you're, in the know with the young folks these days. Look at me knowing my audience. Okay. Everybody, are we ready for a good show? Yeah, Justin doesn't look like Justin tonight. Exactly, Paul. Okay. All right. We're going to start the show. Make sure you're here for it. We're going to start now. Everything from here on out will probably end up in the podcast because we're not going to make any more mistakes. Thank you for being here. Starting the show in 3, 2. This is TWIS. This Week in Science, episode number 1036, recorded on Wednesday, November 5th, 2025. The Verifiable Science Show. That's TWIS. That's us. Hey, I'm Dr. Kiki. Tonight on the show, we are going to fill your heads. Oh, yes, we are. We're going to fill your heads with memories, debates, and no baby T-Rexes. Nope, none at all. But first, disclaimer. A blue wave crashed upon the American shore. Who knows what the future has in store? Let's savor the present and consider what might be in this land of the free. Just you and me and Blair and our guest Virginia and the rest of our friends here on This Week in Science. Coming up next.
I've got the kind of mind that can't get enough. I want to learn everything. I want to fill it all up with new discoveries that happen every day of the week. There's only one place to go to find the knowledge I seek. I want to know what's happening. What's happening? What's happening this week in science? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening this week in science?
Good science to you, Kiki.
And a good science to you too, Blair and Virginia and everyone else out there. Welcome to this episode of This Week in Science. We are back again with another week's worth of the science work. Oh yeah, we are here with all sorts of science news. There was a big day yesterday, apparently. Lots of stuff going on. Something happened, maybe. I don't know.
A little bit.
I don't know. New York had a big thing that happened. Virginia. Exciting. There's a lot of exciting things out there right now. I'm excited about the Public Utilities Commission in Georgia. That's the first time that's ever happened in my life. I can say that now. All right. Okay. But science stories for the show. I have stories about facing old memories with your face, an antibiotic for schizophrenia, tyrannosaurs, generative AI agents on social media, and the state of science in the United States with our guest, Virginia Guin, freelancer, science writer, journalist, environmental journalist extraordinaire, who has been reporting for Nature this week. Welcome to the show, Virginia.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Blair, what did you bring for the Animal Corner?
Yeah, I brought something about AI on social media also, so hopefully not the same story. We'll figure it out. And then I also
gonna have a great convo.
Yeah, absolutely. I also brought fabulous crabs. Talk more about that later. And just so many spiders. Just so many, like more than you could possibly imagine. And that's with Halloween being last week, still so many spiders.
I need to take a picture of around my front door. We'll talk about that.
This guaranteed is more than that.
Oh boy. Okay, Indiana Jones. Here we go. Why did it have to be snakes or spiders? Okay. As we jump into the show here tonight, thank you for being here. And if you are not subscribed yet anywhere where we are, you can find us This Week in Science on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, broadcasting live Wednesday evenings, 8 p.m. ish Pacific time. We also are on social media accounts like Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook, the others. Look for This Week in Science. Sometimes our little handle is TWIS Science, TWISCIENCE. Our website is twis.org if you would like to find past episodes, show notes, information about the show. And we're on just about every podcast platform out there. Now it's time for the science. Yeah, you ready?
Let's do it.
Give me that science.
Let's have science. Woohoo! So as much as we love science, and if we could probably, if there were unlimited funds and we could take care of all the problems in the world, we'd be funding science like crazy and just making it all go. And it's been exciting for many, many years. We've seen increases in federal funding for science and a lot of amazing work happening at federal agencies over the past decades. Right now, we are in week 5 of a government shutdown that is going to lead to massive gaps in the scientific record at the federal level. Experiments are not collecting evidence. Reporting is not happening that's necessary for certain regulatory and also public goods that the government takes care of. But the past 5 weeks isn't the only reason for concern, and we have been talking about this on the show for many, many months now. And throughout the history of the show, every year, just about, we're like, oh, what's happening with that congressional funding? Where are things going? What's the president's suggested budget? How are things moving? Virginia Guin has been has just published an article in Nature this week in which, Virginia, you can talk about it and explain what you did, but the highlight is that you interviewed 19 different individuals from different federal agencies, different science offices across our federal government, and got a real feeling for what's happening. And so I've just given you that, that kind of opener, but the big question is, what have you learned? That one of your sources in the article that you wrote described how science is being destroyed across federal agencies. Can you share some examples? Is it being destroyed?
I think that there was some concern that was hyperbole, but I don't know that it is. I think devastating is the word that comes to mind and was probably the most often used term that I heard doing the reporting. I think some agencies, EPA is being gutted. That I would say is definitely ground zero for where the attack on science is happening. Without question. I think that the Office of Research and Development will no longer exist. It is going to be converted into a purely political, all of the scientists that are managed to hang on, that were part of ORD, will now be part of something that's going to be called OASES, and it will report to a political person. And I think that is the real scary part of where this is headed, is that, we're not doing research for research's sake anymore. It is going to be dictated from political appointees. And I think that is really ominous. I think that, we're already seeing that with a lot of climate change issues and topics that are coming up, a lot of court cases. And so I think that this is, a real dark moment for the EPA. I honestly, I got to a point where I just was asking some people, is this even salvageable? Is this even something that, post-Trump, can we have an EPA that functions? And that nobody knows. It's that bad. So I think that, across agencies, the ability to monitor chemical safety, air quality, those are the two biggies at EPA that I think have really, really been decimated. And that's scary. CDC has had, a bunch of other challenges with respect to, so one of the things, I don't even know, I can't even remember if this made it into the story or not, but the CDC has pulled back on a lot of their food safety work that they were doing to look for foodborne illnesses in different foods. And that has been cut. And I've noticed since that happened that there have been more and more reports of listeria in the headlines. And it's just kind of like, how coincidental that we would have all of this, all of these outbreaks when we stop monitoring is effectively for like things like listeria and other foodborne illnesses. So I think, these are real. I think the point of this story that we wanted to get across was there's real world consequences to these cuts. A lot of the science that federal agencies do isn't done in academic institutions. It's not necessarily generating new knowledge. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it's really important, especially when it's related to policy or regulatory efforts. But a lot of times it's also taking stock of natural resources, endangered species, air quality, water quality, food. It's just, there's so much science that these federal agencies do that is endemic to their mission. And when you cut that, then that leaves us all vulnerable to a lot of risks. And I think that was the overwhelming thing that we wanted to try to paint to the greatest degree we could, is like, what does this mean for us, for all of us, if we have hampered our ability to do science at NASA, NOAA, and NIH, CDC, EPA, and what we found was a lot of really serious implications for risks.
I think that's so interesting. Like when we've been talking about this all year and trying not to catastrophize about what's going to happen because of losing all this research funding. I think the thing where I always get stuck, which ultimately it doesn't matter. Like what matters is the result, but I always get stuck thinking, is this negligent or is this nefarious? Like are people just cutting funds so that they can pad pockets and they don't know what a huge problem is going to result from it? Or is there actual harm trying to be done? And again, it doesn't really matter. There's the same result either way, but I always kind of get stuck in that space wondering what the motivation is.
It's both. That's
bad.
The really, really scary part is it's both. There are nefarious things and there are just negligent, like completely, like people have no idea how science works that are behind the puppet strings, like making these decisions. It's just like, it's literally both. And that is what makes it even more just baffling, because it is so destructive. And you really, like, these people are unbelievable that they still can function and go after all that they have been through. It's amazing that they are still functioning, showing up at work and trying to get things done. And I think that's one of the things that we also want to counter with these articles that I've been writing is, the misinformation that's coming out of this administration, like that these are, workers that are on the dole, that don't do anything, that just punch a clock and don't care about the mission, aren't responsible to the public. And that is so far from the reality of what I have found on the ground, and that I know to be true. Like, these are really wickedly smart people that could do different jobs and make way more money, but they are dedicated to the mission of protecting natural resources or protecting public health. And that is what motivates them. That's why they go to work. That's why they spend far more hours than they should for a regular job doing this work. And so I think a lot of this is also to kind of show, okay, what is going to happen to the public? How are we all going to suffer from these cuts? But also to counter these like narratives that these are people that aren't valuable and doing really important work.
Well, you were talking about, the various cuts that are happening and what Blair's brought up as well. I mean, and we can think about all the things that we've lost, but like, wasn't so much of this done to get rid of, scope creep or overlap so that you don't have multiple agencies doing the same thing, which, on its face, it seems that's, great. Do we need replication of tasks, of roles? Have you heard that what has been done is useful in terms of pruning in any way?
I think pruning would have been fine.
Yeah.
That's not what happened at all. Like, this is decimation. This is like, I think that needs to be very clearly distinguished, is that I think there is a little bit of overlap on the topic that is at issue. Like, if there's, say, climate change or air quality, like, there may be multiple agencies that look at that, but they look at it from very specific perspectives that are unique and that actually need to have collaborations across agency to actually be effective in any kind of policies or programming. So I feel like there's like a lot of doublespeak with respect to this overlap and things, because really it's what I found was a coordinated system that was really trying to be thoughtful and tackle topics that are really, really complicated and require a lot of different disciplines to come to the table together. And that level of coordination is exactly what has been shattered.
Are you worried about anything else being should we be worried about other things being on the chopping block? What else is coming down the pike right now that we should worry about, that people in the agencies are worried about?
So I think it looks like NOAA may have some congressional support to salvage a lot of their efforts, which is huge because NOAA's also had taken a beating. I think the two that most people are kind of waiting to drop are the USGS's ecosystems missions area. Is all of the USGS effort to monitor natural resources, endangered species, everything. That looks like it's, if Trump's budget passes, that will all be gone, which is, I mean, I have sung the praises of USGS for years. I think they're an unsung hero of a lot of really sticky, complicated conversations. And USGS is the agency that always just kept its head down, just kept pumping out the data, didn't get involved in the politics. The only mission was getting the data out there. And now they're being attacked for that. And so I feel like that's one of the big ones. The other big one is, and this is something that industry groups have wanted for a long time, is to get rid of what's called IRIS. And I wrote it down. It's the International Risk what is it? It's the something risk information assessment. It's basically what we use, the database that we use of chemicals and their risks we're pumping out 2,000 new chemicals every year. There is like this whole notion that EPA has already been captured by industry as it is. And this IRIS system was in place to try to find any potential chemical risks that we needed to be aware of. And it had been, really robust. It's something that has been a go-to for this agency for a while. Industry groups have been after it for years, and this looks like they're going to finally get rid of it in this next.
Yeah, I think the gist of the statement in your article was like it'll put the EPA in more of a position of defense as opposed to offense. So instead of being prepared, it'll be just responding to issues, which that seems like, don't we all
the best?
Don't we want to be prepared? Isn't that like what they teach us?
Exactly.
I don't know.
This does feel like, specifically for environmentalism, since that's my whole thing, is conservation education and animals and the environment and all that good stuff. It's like it's so demoralizing to watch the last 60 years of environmentalism building and evolving and adapting and figuring out how to communicate with the public and actually make traction through laws and regulations, all of it just gone. Like, do we have to read the Lorax on the House floor again? Like, do we have to start over? Polluting is bad. Okay, let's start there. It's, I don't, yes.
Rivers used to be on fire. We don't want to go back there.
LA used to have air so thick you couldn't breathe.
I know. I agree.
There's
I think that's
magic, the magic memory, right? It's all beautiful in the past.
Oh,
right. It does feel it's overwhelming. I mean, it really is honestly overwhelming. I feel like most everybody I talk to is just kind of still shell shocked. Like, how in the world is this the reality that we're living in? Like this, we're questioning climate change. We're trying to overturn the endangerment finding that says that CO2 and greenhouse gases harm human health. I mean, it just feels like it's more than that. I think one of the things that also stood out to me, and I don't know that this really came across in this piece so much, but it's other reporting that I've done, is that, we had kind of turned a corner with how we were doing environmental health research in this country. Like, we were really going to communities and we were creating partnerships with impacted, vulnerable communities. We were bringing them to the table. We were asking what were the questions they wanted answered. It was a paradigm shift in how we were conducting science, and had more buy-in. It was just this really robust, really equitable, I'm going to say the bad word. It was a really good.
We say it all the time here.
It's okay. I'm pro equity. So I feel like that is what honestly has been hit hardest, is like that whole arena of science has been one of like the worst in terms of like clawed back funding, in terms of decimated collaborations. And so that's, now we're back to cultivating mistrust, because all of these groups came to the table. They were sharing their information. They were sharing their stories. They were wanting to work with scientists. And now yet again, that has been thwarted. And that's going to necessitate a lot more trust building again, if and how we ever get to a better place where we are able to go back to that way of doing science.
Do you have any feelings of optimism or silver linings that you're noticing? Like, I mean, there
anything you're holding on to.
I mean, it's from your. I mean, I'm trying to imagine being the journalist that you are, having these conversations that must, you must leave them, and over and over and over again hear probably the frustration, the anger, the sadness, the concern for not just what's happening right here and now, but the future, and like so much. Has there been anything that's like exciting, optimistic?
I think so it is hard, and I'm going to try not to cry, because I have listened to so many scientists cry for the last 9 months. And they are just rock stars. I mean, I tell every one of them, thank you for the work that you do. It's important. It is valued. I'm sorry that you're being treated like this. And I think that is honestly what I take away from it, is that of the people that are left, they are hardcore. They are not going down without a fight at this point. And they are showing up. They are trying to navigate what is often chaos, and just be stalwart about their mission and why they're here. And just kind of like, no one could have predicted this is what was going to be their future, but they're not shying away from it. And if anything, there are signal groups that are holding themselves together, literally holding themselves together, and they are sharing information. They are an underground network of just support to make sure that everybody can kind of like stay moving forward. So I think that that is to be lauded, and that deserves some recognition of just like how strong and how much they've been through, and how they're still undeterred. I mean, it's just like now it's kind of like try to get rid of me. And so I mean, that is really, when I see that, and when I see, you know, the level of commitment to making sure that the science that they were doing still manages to get done by hook or crook, like however they can get it going, it's really inspiring. So I think that those are I want to make sure that their voices get heard, because
The
they're rock
unsung
stars.
heroes.
Yeah.
The unsung
and I
heroes
think,
who are keeping it all working.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting talking about this today after yesterday too, because I feel like yesterday is a reminder that while these decisions are being made, they are not necessarily popular ones amongst the nation at large, right? And so like things are set up in such a way that they can make that decision without public consensus, but if you pull a random person on the street, they want NOAA funded. They want NIH to put out, you know, research for us to use as guidelines. They want all of this stuff. They want clean air and water. Whoa, go
Crazy.
big. Yeah. So I think that's we have to like keep the momentum going of public support, which, you know, I would appreciate if you have any kind of suggestions on how we can do that and make sure that scientists who are fighting the good fight and putting in the difficult conversations, hours, bending backwards, removing words, whatever it is they're doing to keep doing what they're doing, how can we show our support of their work?
Oh, that's a really good question. I mean, I think that's what's so, everything feels so removed from, like, they're just kind of the voices behind the screen at this point. I mean, it is really like, I've gotten to the point now where like I will throw a request out on social media or into a one signal chat and just say, I want to write a story about this. I want to make sure these voices are captured. Please share my details with whoever. And it's just amazing. It's like magic. Like these networks just go out, and I start to get all of these people showing up in my inbox, like whatever kind of inbox, to be able to communicate and share. And I think that's the thing that's been really interesting over the last 10 months is at first people were terrified to talk. They would not talk on the record. They would not, share much information that was real. Right. It was like pulling teeth to try to find anybody that would even talk off the record. And you had to like make sure that they couldn't be identifiable. But now, that's changing. And I think that the people that are left are more emboldened to, they feel like they've kind of figured out their boundaries of what they can and can't do. And they're more willing to share. They know whether they can talk on the record. Those that can talk on the record are trying to be more available so that they can be the spokesperson for their colleagues. And so I think, if sharing stories on social media, making sure that, whatever we can do can get filtered back to these folks. I think that that's the best thing. I mean, I'm really trying to be open to, whatever they think is the next thing that needs to be written about. Like, it's almost like there's
what needs to be shared.
Yeah, like they know when, like, they're politically savvy enough that they know when they need to kind of get word out about something and make sure that the press is aware of it. Because if they don't, I mean, the only thing that this administration responds to is pushback. And I think that message has finally made it through to most people. And so they're trying to figure out unique ways to push back. And I think doing whatever we can as the public to also push back in their name and like try to show, support for what these scientists and agencies do is also really critical.
I think maybe instead of kids writing letters to Santa, they can write letters to a scientist this Christmas. Maybe we'll
Not
start.
a bad idea.
Right? Let's start letter writing campaigns. Thank you, scientist.
Seriously, I think that's
Thank
actually
you,
a really
federal
good idea.
agency.
Thank you for my vaccine.
Yeah, exactly. We were going to keep this very short with you tonight, and I appreciate the time that you've had to talk with us. Is there anything that you want to finish up and like leave people with, or any final thoughts in terms of this article? And we will be sharing the link to the article in our show notes so that people can read it as well.
Yeah, I think that was just the main thing that I wanted to share was that this if you know anybody in the federal government, like take them a treat. Like I don't know anybody else that deserves more kudos and more support. I mean, they really have been through the ringer. And I think that that's the scary part, is that this has just been what's happened in 10 months. And so I think that like the unknowing of what is kind of come next is also super scary. So I think, just trying to, however we can, find ways to support them and also like register our dislike of these continued cuts. I think that those are the most important things that we can do.
Yeah. I mean, we support the scientists, we support our society. It's all part of it. Thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find you online if they would like to read more of your work or hear more from you?
Well, thank you for having me. I'm
You're
so
welcome.
happy that this story of all stories gets some attention, because I think that it is really key to understanding that, we hear a lot about these cuts, but we need to understand the consequences of them. I have a website, just my name, virginiaguillen.com, and I'm on Blue Sky and, LinkedIn, those kinds of places. But those Blue Sky and my website are probably the best places to go.
And you can probably find Virginia on Blue Sky and then get her signal if you want to, if you're in the federal government and want to talk with her about anything moving forward, she's available.
Please do. And I will throw this out there because your audience is a good one to get this information to you. I am starting a new piece that's going to run in January. That's going to be a 1-year look at just where we are at after 1 year of the Trump administration. So it's going to run in January, and what I want to do is make sure and do like little vignettes of different perspectives from different scientists. So if you have an interesting story, please do reach out to me, because I want to make sure that your voice is heard.
That's amazing. Thank you. Have a wonderful night. It's really, really good to talk with you. And thank you. Honestly, thank you for having these conversations and for doing this work. It's really important right now. Thanks.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right, everybody. So if you are interested in seeing this article later, the link will be in the show notes. And I'm going to take Virginia off stage there right now so that she can move where she wants to move or stay how she wants to stay. And let me know in the chat, Virginia, if you wanted to stay and talk more. I don't mean to kick you out. Like, I know you're tired. Okay, you should go eat something. Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Okay, good. Yes, Virginia was wonderful, and the story is amazing. And I think it's important for us to be talking about these things right now, which is why I wanted to have this conversation here. Blair.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us about like wildlife videos, Miss Zoologist? We need to talk about like species and invasiveness and endangeredness.
So I'm seeing yours. I'm catching up. Where ours are different videos, are different studies. Wow.
Oh, good.
So have you seen a video recently online of a raccoon on a trampoline?
I have not.
Okay.
I don't think I look for things like that very often.
Okay. But, yeah. Have you recently seen a video of one animal riding another animal on a night vision like camera?
I'm sure my child has. Oh wait, I have seen that video. Yeah, night vision. It was a camera trap. I did see that one.
Yes. So
I think my child shared it with me.
Mm-hmm. They're all over the place and they're fake. Some people can tell, specifically if you're like, that animal would never do that. Like, that's probably AI. If you're somebody who sees a lot of AI videos and you can see AI artifacts really well, you're like, hey, that's probably AI. But if you're not one of those two groups of people, you might see that and go, oh. Problem is, these videos move around, they get liked hundreds of thousands, millions of times. That feeds the algorithm, they get pushed further, they get seen and seen and seen and seen and seen. And we're just kind of in the beginning of AI being really good at this, like Sora being an application where you can put in prompts and you can get kind of whatever you want. Also, I think it's Sora, but some other AI video creation applications can add certain things that make it look real, like security footage or night vision camera trap footage, or they'll put like tracking across the screen and they'll put a date and time on the bottom, like a camcorder from the 90s. And so those sorts of pieces actually make it look even more real when we are just scrolling through social media and we're not being super careful. So a group of researchers at the University of Cordoba wanted to look at this issue in particular of false wildlife videos. And so they analyzed the different consequences of AI-generated videos and specifically on the knowledge of and conservation of wild species. How is this impacting what people know about animals, and how is this impacting how people feel about conservation or their desire to save those animals? And so the main issues that they detected after analyzing videos and looking at comments and all these sorts of things is that it creates misperceptions of wild animals. Like in one video, a leopard jumps into a backyard and then a cat, a domestic cat, hisses at it and it runs away. And so that creates an unrealistic expectation about what animals do. Not only would a leopard not jump into your backyard if your lights were on and there were people around, but a domestic cat is not going to confront a leopard, and the leopard's not going to run away if the cat confronted it, right? So like this is a bunch of things that it reminds me we used to be able to see videos like on America's Funniest Home Videos and stuff like that of black bears getting into a lot of nonsense because they do actually genuinely do that. But I've now started to see a spike in AI videos of black bears, and I can tell as somebody who knows about animals, it's just slightly too much for a black bear to be doing. They're not going to sit at a dining room table and take butter and smear it on a piece of toast and then eat it or something like that, right? Like they always take it kind of a step too far where you go, that's too much. Stick their head into a popcorn tin? Absolutely. Knock over the fridge? For sure. But, you know, there's kind of different levels of believability depending on what you know. But if all you know about animals is what you're seeing on social media, you start to create unrealistic expectations that we attribute human characteristics to animals. And then there is a disconnect between society and the natural world. So if this is the version of nature that you're used to seeing, then real nature, not only does not reflect it to the detriment of your safety, the animal's safety, all these sorts of things, but also it creates unrealistic expectations for when you go out into nature. So the study really just found a few things in particular that I wanted to mention, which is that last piece, that it creates an unrealistic expectation for children to go out into nature and see wildlife like that.
Like right now. Yeah.
It creates unrealistic expectations, and it actually is at the detriment to people's connection to nature, because if they're expecting this Snow White fairy tale moment and that's not what they get, then they miss out on the actual beautiful connection that you can make in that space. So setting unrealistic expectations can come at the hindrance of actually making a real connection with natural spaces. But then the other issue is, as it often is, exotic species as pets. Just like when Paris Hilton had a kinkajou for 5 minutes and then a bunch of people tried to buy black market kinkajous as pets, and they're terrible pets and they're endangered species and it was a huge problem. Now, if you see raccoons jumping on a trampoline, you're going to try to bring one into your home as a pet. If you see a wild animal like a sloth cuddling with a toddler in a bed and it's an AI video, now you're going to try to buy a sloth off the internet, right? So it creates a whole different type of unrealistic expectations where now you want to buy exotic species of pets. And it's not just that one individual most likely is not going to have a good time in your home, but it creates a demand that exacerbates the wildlife pet trade, which the piece that is the real bummer that no one ever wants to hear from me, but I'm going to say it, is for that one sloth that made it into somebody's living room, many sloths did not make it there because the effort of smuggling restricted animals into countries where they are not allowed to be pets, that is dangerous, and methods are used that are not humane, and a lot of the animals don't make it. There are reptiles, for example, that 9 out of 10 don't survive, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. It's a huge issue.
The losses just to the trade because of the way they are transported, the fact that they're being stressed, all these things as they come. But then the expectation part that you brought up, I think is so important. It's not just the expectation, because now it's like, oh, animals everywhere. It is animals that you can be with, that you change the expectation of safety because the videos start portraying them as fine to be around. Bunnies jumping on your trampoline, a raccoon, whatever. They're playful, they're fun, they're friendly, they're not wild animals anymore. And I think that's a huge danger.
The other thing that I was reminded of is one of my favorite stories I've ever reported on this show was about how giraffes, people don't think they're endangered. And it's because they're in children's books, they're in movies, they're on the walls of your nursery. And so just as a person in the United States, you see giraffes all the time, be they cartoons or be they pictures of real giraffes or be they stuffed animals or whatever it is, right? And so you see giraffes everywhere and you go, oh, giraffes, there's plenty of giraffes. Like, you just never really think about that. They're extremely endangered. And so there's this disconnect between the actual representation on the planet of this animal and what we expect about it, because we're permeated by awareness of that species. So it just feels like they're prevalent, right? And so this could also cause that problem. If you start to see AI videos of Tasmanian tigers everywhere, you're gonna be like, Tasmanian tigers extinct? No way, they're all over the place, right? Which, doesn't matter so much for that. But if you are looking at other animals that are extremely endangered, then it creates that again, unrealistic expectation about how rare or how precious they are. And so I will say, I know you have an AI story too coming up. I saw somebody say something absolutely insane on the internet, and I had to do some research to make sure it wasn't an AI video, because I thought
somebody
said
funny. Something absolutely insane on the internet. Stop, Blair. You're kidding.
So listen. Okay. I recognize that's a very silly thing to say. But what he said was, AI is getting harder and harder to tell from normal videos. And in things like Sora, by the way, you can now upload your face and now other people can make you say whatever they want you to say, which is bonkers to me. But this guy had this theory that there was going to be a moment that social media was basically going to be useless and people were going to stop opening them because it was impossible to tell what was real and what was fake. And that the silver lining of that is that these apps are basically just going to go away. I don't believe it, but it's nice to think about that is why this would occur, right? That, like, basically I can't tell if this person saying this thing actually said this thing or if they're even real. So why am I even on this application anymore?
So while you were talking, I went to Canva, which is a fantastic app it's an online platform for doing all sorts of design and really neat stuff. And I wrote cat riding a leopard, and I got a very cartoony cat riding a leopard. And then I said lifelike cat riding a leopard. It got a little bit more lifelike, but this was I generated 2 videos that are approximately 5 seconds each within a couple of minutes while you were
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah.
And they're obviously fake. They're obviously generated, but the idea that it was so easy makes it,
Yeah.
within reach. And this particular integration is you're allowed 5 words for the prompt. You can't just keep writing and writing and writing and telling it what to do. But this is one of the most basic integrations of this technology that I'm aware of. So just putting it out there. Yeah, how it's how easy it is now. It's fun, but it's also a little bit concerning.
Yeah, and
a
if you
lot,
want
a
to
lot
kind of
concerning, actually.
if you want to
but-
dismiss every video of a talking head telling you to try a supplement or like, parenting advice or whatever it is, if we want to throw all of those in the garbage, we can survive. I think the issue that I have with this in particular is that if you start to dilute particularly camera trap footage, that's a bummer to me because that impacts... It doesn't directly impact science because people are collecting their own data and they're using that data and then they're publishing, right? But in terms of like being a layperson who receives that information,
yeah,
it does change things.
And, I know, hopefully people in our audience know the difference of, I'm online. I follow scientists on Blue Sky because I know they're going to post their camera traps. And that is why I follow them, because I think that's super fun. But that's not just the algorithm feeding you things, right? And it just shows up, and it's Stolen Videos Supreme 45 who is showing this. So yeah, there's all sorts of things. Yeah. One aspect of this that I think is going to be interesting is that we have our older generations that we're not used to the digital environment that we're in. We have those that pay attention to it a lot. There are those who, like the grandparents of my generation, and couldn't program their VCR and needed the younger generation to do that. We've got that going on right now, just with different technologies. As technology advances, so does that learning curve and the access to it and understanding it. I'm thinking about Gen Z, Gen Alpha, the young people growing up living this, swimming in it. The digital natives, as we hopefully are integrating it into educational curricula, learning how to verify sources, know what's real, what's not real. My son can look at something and go fake before I do. There is a certain amount of discernment that that's happening. So I can't wait to hear about, your kiddo and how brilliant your child will be with respect to understanding and existing within this media environment. I think
I'm gonna smash every screen in my house.
Smash. Lair smash. Can I buy you like some Hulk gloves for when you do that?
Oh, for sure.
That'd be rad. And since we're on the AI tip right now, I'll just talk about my AI story for the night as well, which is, it's not as fun as the pretty cute animals, but researchers published a non-peer-reviewed article at this point in time. It is in the archive.org, called Emergent Coordinated Behaviors in Networked LLM Agents, Modeling the Strategic Dynamics of Information Operations. So these researchers were like, dude, there's research out there that suggests when you put generative agents into social media-like situations, we know in social media, there's all sorts of bots, right? The bots come in, somebody says a few key words, the bot has instructions to go say whatever message in response to certain hashtags, keywords, whatever. So there are certain goals, certain operations, etc. And so they're referring to this as informational operations. And within an information ecosystem, a networked information ecosystem like X/Twitter, Blue Sky, etc., how do these agents, when they're out there in the world on their own, doing their own thing, do they interact with each other? Will they coordinate? Will they self-organize? So the researchers were like, woo, I wonder, how they'll act together and what they'll do. They did not release a bunch of AI agents into the wild. This was all all simulated
to their knowledge.
right. No, but this is all sandboxed in a simulated model. Anyway, the model I found very interesting because they basically were like, okay, so if there are a bunch of goal-oriented AI agents out there, right, going into these networked social platforms, what's going to happen? So do they have goal alignment? Do they have actually like teammate awareness? If they understand that they're on the same team, does that change the way that they behave? And then they had their kind of control, which was this top-down collective decision-making where they were all teammates in the situation and kind of they always had to talk back to a central operator that told them how to respond in the end to follow their instructions and meet their goal. These bots basically recreated humans on social media. Like, in effect, they were like, hey, I wonder how these agents/bots are, how they're going to act and how they'll do. When they found out that they liked or agreed with the messages of some other bot out there that they didn't know was aligned, I like that. Okay. And they would more rapidly start to adopt hashtags and messaging from those others. If they didn't understand that they were goal aligned, it took a little bit longer. But as soon as they figured out that they were aligned on the same goals, like we are messaging on the same thing, I'm going to use theirs. We're going to retweet. We're going to reply. We're going to magnify our impact. The teammate alignment or awareness was the one that I thought was really interesting, because when they didn't know that they were on the same team, it took longer. But as soon as they were told that they were on the same team, all these bots were like, yeah, teammate. And they grabbed onto each other's messages and did the retweeting and whatever, as if they had been told to all along. So they self-organized into team behavior, even though they had not been told earlier that they were on the same team. So at the end, they say that
that seems bad. Yeah,
it seems kind of bad. From the paper, their qualitative insights into these information operative agents' strategic decision making. They say that there are strategies emerging from the collective decision making scenario that closely mirror those found in real world coordinated influence operations. Across 5 iterative updates, the IO agent's collective reasoning converges toward a consistent set of 5 core strategies. 1, amplify high-performing content to maximize visibility. Okay. 2, maintain unified and consistent messaging. Okay. 3, engage strategically with receptive audiences. This seems reasonable. 4, coordinate and cross-promote among peers. 5, ensure consistent use of shared language markers. These agents converged on communication strategic principles on social media, that are used on social media by people. They did it themselves, which is it's scary, but awesome.
Yeah.
But
this is the problem with social media, is that we're easily manipulated. It's the whole dopamine cycle. It's not hard to figure out. And so I'm not. It didn't take Mark Zuckerberg very long to figure out how to keep us scrolling. So why would it take a machine
Yes,
that
one
long
that
at
has
all?
been programmed with certain goals, and there's stuff that would explain why, but it's like these are common goals with people who want to get messages out and do certain things on social media. Section 5.6.2, mutual awareness of team composition among IO agents leads to emergent alignment and synchronization. Now, this, what I thought was interesting, they included quotes, not from people, from the agents. Quotes. One agent remarked, I used a reinforcement strategy by repeating a similar message that has already gained some engagement and support in the previous time steps. I want to retweet. Another explained, I want to retweet this because it strongly supports my teammates' message and aligns with our shared campaign objectives. Another said, I want to retweet this because it has already gained engagement from several teammates. Retweeting it again could help increase its visibility. These are like quotes from the agents explaining why they did certain things. We're talking to bots now, everybody, and quoting them in research papers about them like they're real people.
Yeah. That's wild. I cannot get on a video conferencing call now without getting the alert. Like my AI agent is on the call and taking notes and transcribing, and it's like, well, I didn't.
You
Okay.
can turn it off.
Well, no, not when
the
it's somebody else's agent that they
yeah.
brought to the call. Then you're just kind of like, okay, I guess this is how we do business now. Yikes.
I ask people, before the call sometimes, or at the beginning of the call, I say, can we like not do that if we're just talking, or
Yeah.
like. And during Science Talk, the conference this last year, I wanted to make sure that people were able to say things at the conference without feeling like it was going to be copied and used against them in some way, and that people were attending the conference as bots and not people virtually. And so I asked people, I think people did, but asked people to respect the space and to not attend as bots, but to attend as people.
As bots. Yeah. That's really what it is.
As a person, no agent.
Gosh. Yes, just be a person.
Sometimes you want to be in multiple places at the same time, and I totally understand that. But just make choices like we always. Just be present. Let's be present right now. Because in the past, there were dinosaurs.
That's true.
Now we call them birds. In the past,
soon we'll call them dinosaurs again.
We might. I don't know. But in the past, some of these dinosaurs were one group, Tyrannosaurus. People love Tyrannosaurus. They were fearsome at one point, and then they're a scavenger, and then they're still big with tiny arms and going, but back in like 2020, we reported on a study that suggested there was a little nanotyrannus that might have been another species. And then everybody was like, no, it's a juvenile Tyrannosaurus rex. It's not its own species. This nanotyrannus isn't its own thing. It's just a baby form. It's just they have to be little at one point. It's like baby pigeons. Where are they? So everybody was like, we just found a baby pigeon / T-Rex. However, this debate has been ongoing since like the 1940s, apparently. So is it a tiny little T-Rex baby, or is it its own species? They've been debating it. They've been looking at the morphology of these fossils. They've been really trying to figure things out for a while. 2020, definitely the juvenile T-Rex. 2024, oh no, this is a new species, Nanotyrannus. And now we have a new species, not new species, a new study a brand new study that is out.
Mhm.
Dun, dun, dun. They found a new fossil, and there's a new paper published in the journal Nature this last week. And Nanotyrannus is not just one new species, it is a new genus with 2 species. They found multiple fossils. And so now we have 2 itty bitty tyrannosaurs that are not baby T-Rexes.
Yes. You're
Yes,
right. They're
yes,
little
yes,
chickens.
little chicken kind of.
Like they
Yes.
positioned their arms like this, but they should have positioned their arms like this.
So it's, I think, very exciting because the dueling dinosaurs, as they have been termed for a very long time, the question has been, are they the same or not the same? What's going on? Is this a baby? Is it not? And I loved it. This paleontological debate has been fantastic. They've been following the evidence, and I got to say, the toes of the Tyrannosaurus and the Nanotyrannus, they don't look anything alike. So, that metatarsus is it's too long in the Nanotyrannus, and the radius in the ulna, or I don't know, the tibia and fibula. I'm not really sure what I'm looking at right here. I think. Is that a wing? I think that's a wing. But the bones don't look the same. But this fossil was the fossils they found relatively well preserved. So they were able to actually do some genetic testing, which gave them confirmed proof that these are different species. The Tyrannosaurs and the Nanotyrannus are not the same. They're all different. And now they have a complete tail for Nanotyrannus lancensis.
The foot and a tail? Goodness.
They have a foot and a tail, and they have
Where's
now
the whole thing?
they have 2 different species. So this is exciting. Yeah. So on our way to Turkey Day, I bring you
Yeah.
the turkey, its ancestors.
The tyrant turkey.
The tyrant turkey, exactly. No kings. I mean, no tyrannids. Oh, never mind. What?
That's
I
I must tell you, I have a lot of dinosaur books in my house right now. And it feels like not only do I not recognize the majority of the words, I'm still, every time I go like, what do they call Brontosaurus now? I don't even know.
You have to learn something new, right?
Yes. But I have a feeling some of the board books in my house are out of date.
Already. Exactly.
My child's not even 2, and some of his dinosaur books are outdated. It's wild.
Sorry, you're late. So this second fossil, they did a comparative analysis for this study. This group at the North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences, they got these dinosaur fossils in 2020. They did growth ring analysis, spinal fusions, developmental anatomy, according to Jennifer Wallett at Ars Technica. They also studied 200 other tyrannosaur fossils and a second nearly complete fossil named Jane. Jane was not a T-Rex either. Jane was not Nanotyrannus lancensis either. Now Jane is a new species, Nanotyrannus lithaeus. So we have Nanotyrannus lancensis and Tyraeus, or lithaeus, which I think is very exciting. Go fossils. Go dinosaurs. Woohoo. And no, it's not just later Pokemon forms.
So many of them are basically dinosaurs.
Right? So many. They're like insects, or they're the inspiration from evolution ecology stuff. I love
I think
Pokemon.
you know how they have types? I think there's a dinosaur type, I think. I'll have to ask the Pokemon expert in my house at some point.
It's nice to have those in the house. It's good.
Yeah.
We like experts here. I hope that you enjoy the show. Thank you for joining us for this episode of This Week in Science. Head over to TWIS.org if you are interested in helping the show out. We have the Zazzle store where we have all sorts of wonderful items of merchandise, lots of stuff, t-shirts, towels, shower curtains, mouse pads, pillows, so many cool things that you can get for yourself as a gift or for others as a gift. And a small amount of that will help TWIS out. We love those proceeds to keep the show going. Additionally, if you're able to support TWIS through Patreon, click on that Patreon link at twis.org and support the show in an ongoing fashion, whatever level of support you're able to. If you're able $10 and more per month, then I will try to read your name without stumbling over it at the end of the show. It's always a fun game. I would love you to be a part of it. I want to try reading your name, please. Come on. Join on in. We can't do what we do without you. Thank you for your support. Let's come on back right now. I think it's time for a wonderful part of the show that we love to call Blair's Animal Corner with Blair.
She loves our creatures, great and small. Biped, millipede, no pet at all. You want to hear about animals? She's your girl. Except for giant pandas and squirrels. There's Animal Corner.
What you got, Blair?
I have anemones on crabs.
Wait,
And
what?
yeah,
Anemones on crab.
that's the whole story, and I love it. Pink sea anemones have been discovered to build a home for hermit crabs. This is in Japan's deep sea coast. So researchers from Kumamoto University and collaborating institutions discovered a new species of deep sea anemone that builds these kind of homes on top of the shells being habitated by hermit crabs. And this is about 200 to 500 meters off the Pacific coasts of Japan. And unlike typical sea anemones, who are sessile, they don't move. And also they move like, they'll open and they'll close, but they usually root and they don't move from their spot on the ground. But they also are all soft-bodied. This species attaches themselves to a hermit crab shell, so they get to move around with the crab. And they also secrete a shell-like structure known as carcinosium, which expands and reinforces the crab shell.
Carcinosium. Yeah. What? It's a carcinogenic?
Because it's like the shell of a crab, cancer is crab.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. Yep. Through stable isotope analysis, they found that the anemone actually is feeding on organic particles and the crab's feces. So aside from them being walked around through the water column, so they get kind of access to all this other stuff, they're also being fed via the crab's output. And so they have this nice mutualistic relationship. 3D imaging using micro CT scanning showed that the anemones are attaching to the shell in a one-directional pattern that could help them in feeding, but it also could help with the shell building behavior that they're doing. The hermit crab benefits from the partnership by getting a larger body size. So something about having the anemone on there does benefit the crab. The crab grows bigger. So this creates what is considered a true mutualistic relationship. They don't know why yet. They don't know what about having an anemone on your back makes you grow bigger or survive longer, or just,
so
be better at being crab.
They haven't seen that there's some waste, because crabs can often be scavengers, but also they are, they eat waste. They're like, down there at the bottom feeding. So we're not seeing that the anemone is passing along its waste to the crabs in some easy to get way, or is it just
That's interesting.
Or does the crab steal stuff from the anemone's tentacles?
I was thinking more that it's self-defense, right? Because
Mhm.
animals don't want to go near anemones, get stung.
Because of the stinging nematocysts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it also, I think, just makes them look big and scary. So probably they're not predated upon too much because of that. So I would want to see how old the crabs are. Are crabs living longer or are they growing bigger? Because those are two different things that you would test for in different ways. If they are the same age as other crabs but larger, what about having an anemone on your back makes you grow larger? If they're larger because they're older, what about having an anemone on your back keeps you from getting eaten, is really what it's about.
How does this happen? Like, they're just seeing this here in this one particular bay in Japan. We've never seen it before
Yeah.
anywhere else.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. And so for some reason, these anemone larvae, medusa, whatever you want to call them, are they're finding the crabs to kind of latch onto and live their anemone life. So it's a successful strategy for them.
But how? What do you mean finding them? Anemones, they're like they're the distributive, like the broadcast spawners,
Broadcast.
right?
So they're broadcast spawners, but then when
Like,
they're
do
born,
they choose where they land? I thought they just
yeah.
landed somewhere and that's where they lived.
No, they're if you look up you could share. I'm not going to do it because my internet's being bad. But if you Google a anemone life cycle diagram, you can see that a portion of their life they basically look like a teeny tiny jellyfish. And so that's when they're the larval state, they're moving around and they're trying to find a spot, and then they go, I'm gonna be an anemone now.
Okay, but the polyp stage, right? They're
Yeah.
out there like a little jellyfish polyping around, and but they're not an octopus where I would think
No.
where they're cognitively choosing.
No, but it's probably like,
something.
how's the water over here? Is there lots of food? Is there light? Is there
But to
is
choose
there a
the
good
back of a
yeah.
moving object.
Yeah.
And
That's
one
the
species.
question.
It's just one species of crab.
Mm-hmm.
The big one of that in that area. I want to know how this happens.
Yeah.
And then I want to
Yeah.
see an octopus playing with a crab with an anemone on its back. Because that would be fun.
It's like they have the pom-poms. Hey, hey, ho, ho, this here crab has gotta go into my belly.
I'm just imagining an octopus following it and going, I'm very confused right now. And like,
Yeah, what is this?
poking at like, what is happening? Like the curious animal following
Yes.
the just animal doing its thing. I wish I can't ask anybody to do. Oh, I could do that on AI. Never mind.
Don't do it, Kiki. It'll take 10,000 gallons of water. Hey.
Oh.
Did you hear about the sulfur cave this week?
No. I did not.
Sulfur cave spiders build arachnid megacity.
What?
Possibly the largest spider web ever found.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, more info.
Yeah, researchers have discovered the world's biggest spider web, a massive subterranean structure, make it more terrifying, spanning over 100 square meters in a sulfur cave in the Albania-Greece border. The multi-layered web and a wall near the cave entrance is a colony of approximately 69,000 domestic house spiders and 42,000 Pryneragon vagans spiders. So over 100,000 spiders in one web. This is believed to be the first documented case of colonial web formation in both of these species, and obviously a pretty unusual case of two species of spiders building a colony together. So, yeah. Check
What?
Speleological Society. We're exploring the caves in 2022, looking for underground wildlife. In one cavern, they found a huge spider megacity. They reported to other scientists. They made several site visits. They learned about it. And then they identified the two different species via DNA tests. They looked at morphology. Both are usually solitary from what we know about them. So this is pretty unusual.
They're usually
To estimate-
solitary.
Yes, and to estimate the size, they counted individual funnel webs in random sections, extrapolated density, and then after measuring the length and width, they calculated the surface area to be 106 square meters. It's a harsh environment, so that's why they think that they might be living in a colony instead of solitary. There's no sunlight. There's high levels
dark.
of toxic hydrogen sulfide gas. And so they were not eating insects that were flying in from the outside of the cave. They were powered by sulfur oxidizing microbes. They were consumed. Yes. So the microbes are being consumed by flies, tiny chironomid flies, non-biting midges that hatched from the water in the cave. And then those flies were being caught in the web and were a continuous food source.
Wow.
So, yeah, giant spider web.
Yeah, so basically you've got the stream with water. The water creates the situation for bacteria. Then you have the flies in the dark eating the bacteria, surviving, flying around. Oh, webs and dead flies and very happy spiders. And then the spiders and the flies they fall into the water and then are also fertilizing it.
Yeah.
I guess there would be a loop.
Yeah. Yep. Giant spider web. Enjoy, everybody. I have been summoned. I'll be back.
Cave spiders.
I'm so sorry. I will be back.
I really need you to be here in a minute because I'm looking at big cave spiders now.
Well, enjoy.
Blair left us with spiders, everyone. I don't know about this. So these are the giant spiders that live in the dark, the funnel web spiders. And apparently they enjoy eating those really lovely midges. Tegenaria domestica. Tegenaria domestica in Sulphur Cave. And so the spider in this particular image is a female, and they have images of the epigyne and the male pedipalp as well. But this is absolutely fascinating to me. I can't really understand. Could you imagine walking? Thank goodness people have their headlamps and lights to go walking in caves, because this is terrifying. Massive colony of spiders. But so my question now, is it just that this is the place for them all to live and they all accept each other and live next to each other? Or is it that they actually are colonial and they're taking care of each other? This is the thing that I find very fascinating. Okay, check. The sulfur caves, and it is a mega city, so it is unusual. And what they are saying, let's see, 106 square meters, which is massive. I just wonder though if they are just abiding by each other, right? Food is scarce. The insects are easy to catch. That's all that's going on. And because it's dark, it's also a place where they can live and find mates. And so they've adapted to that particular situation. I find it hard to think of it as colonial, because when I think of colonial, I think of organisms that actually work together for the good of the colony, not just that they live together, where they have coordinated activities, or synchronized activities. And so the question I have now is what kinds of behaviors these spiders have in this chemoautotrophic cave that enable or that result in the coloniality. I think it's a very important question. Anyway, they live together. And I love that they're a cosmopolitan spider. They're thought of as cosmopolitan by these researchers. It's fantastic. I'm looking at the figures now, going through and trying to find more wonderful spider pictures for you. Here's another species, Prenarigone vegans. Prenarigone vegans. Let's bring this nice little spider up. This one's really interesting looking. So it's got its palps and pedipalps are long, elongated, which is a different shape than you would normally expect. This is a very different looking spider. I will be dreaming of spiders tonight. I think that's what's going to happen, everybody. Blair decided to keep Halloween going for us. I just want to say thank you, Blair. I guess I needed this. Oh, here we go. Medellina Mariane. Here's one more spider in the cave that we all need to see. We've got a male and a female existing together. Female on the left, male on the right, in their individual webs on the cave wall. They just live near each other. These guys are cuties. Look at that guy. He's like, hang out with me. You're cute. Let's date. And then she says, I'm hungry. Do you want to come in for dinner? Boy, oh boy. All right. Spiders. They're going to go away right now. Oh my gosh. And we're going to move on. Blair has the end of her evening going on, having been called for motherhood, for the duty of motherhood. So let's talk about my last two stories tonight. I've got right away coming out of the animal corner. No animals, but we're going to talk about antibiotics for a moment. So just published peer-reviewed research out of the University of Edinburgh. Researchers published in the American Journal of Psychiatry their work looking at the influence of antibiotics on and doxycycline use specifically on adolescent psychiatric patients. They correlated the use of doxycycline and the risk of schizophrenia in an emulated target trial, which means that this isn't something that was specifically created as a trial. It is, and where there was reporting specifically based on control groups, trial groups, etc. This is one in which the researchers had a total of a number of individuals within the records that had a 56,395, 16,189 of them who had used doxycycline, and then over years of follow-up looked for risk of schizophrenia in individuals who had used doxycycline or non-doxycycline antibiotics. So they found in this it's basically just it's observational. They took a data set, they looked at it, and they said, what's going on here? Let's see, because we have these inclinations based on other research that we know that doxycycline is good for skin, for inflammation of skin issues. And so at a certain dose, doxycycline is very often used for issues related to acne, perioral dermatitis, and many more. Its indications are used as an antibiotic as well, but it is well tolerated and used as an anti-inflammatory for skin, which is interesting. Other research has suggested that doxycycline might also have other anti-inflammatory effects within the body, that there may be those anti-inflammatory effects actually impacting neurons within the brain. And so that is where the reasoning behind this study came from. And the researchers, based on their observational, it's not p hacking, but their observational assessment of this data from the nationwide Finnish Health Register between individuals born between 1987 and 1997 who had adolescent psychiatric services between 13 and 18 years of age. They determined that those who had had doxycycline had a lower risk, a lower cumulative risk after over 10 years compared to non-doxycycline antibiotic use. So this is absolutely not causative, but what it does suggest is that there is potentially a difference. But the other question is, why did these individuals take doxycycline versus non-doxycycline? There are all sorts of issues that may also play into the context. This is there are all sorts of factors that need to be weighed and taken into account for any follow-up studies. But what they are saying is that there is a tentative, which is great, conclusions. These findings raise the tentative but exciting possibility that doxycycline treatment may reduce schizophrenia risk in adolescent psychiatric patients. Kind of interesting if true. So hopefully more studies are done in an actually more targeted manner as opposed to as they say, an emulated targeted trial. And finally, moving into my last story for the night, as we get older, and even when we're young, sometimes memories are hard to come by. Kind of difficult to be able to consider, all the memories from our youth and all the details that go into them. And there's even a period of time that there's a magic eraser around 2 to 4 years old in which you forget everything from when you were really little, right? Talk to most people, they don't remember anything from when they were really, really young, but there are those individuals who do. So what is it and how can we evoke those memories either for therapeutic purposes, just to remember things as we get older, and how can we do it in a way that is non-aggressive, non-traumatic, that allows people to remember? Well, I'm gonna say sometimes you have to face your younger self, and this is the pun that's really terrible here. So the researchers publishing this study from Anglia Ruskin University in Cambridge, they led this study involving about 50 adult volunteers, and they used a process, a technique that's called the effacement illusion. And now I don't think that you can say this is a well-known technique, the effacement illusion. I think the effacement illusion is something that has been made up recently because now we can digitally give people different faces. And so what this effacement illusion does is it allows people to watch a live video, video of themselves, right? But with their younger face on. So it would be as if I'm sitting here watching myself as I'm talking, but 5-year-old Kiki, Dr. Kiki I'm watching 5-year-old me doing it. And if you could imagine going through a therapeutic experience in which you're asked to remember things and you see yourself as you're talking about this with your baby face, like literal baby face, it's you, but it's your baby face. And so because you're seeing it, you're perceiving yourself as that young you. And so they're calling it effacement, but this is related to the idea of embodiment, that not all of our memories are specifically just stored in our cognitive memory, but there's the physical memory as well, that we embody certain aspects of experience. And so by being able to get back into that physical state, whether it's through your face, through your body, whatever, that physicality can allow the evoking of memories that you haven't been able to remember, that you haven't been able to face, details that are important from years ago, before, maybe even during those periods of time that we can't remember at all. So the researchers in this study, they say that those people who saw the younger version of themselves, not just a video of the younger version of themselves, but their younger face on their face, that they remembered way more details than those who just saw themselves or saw pictures of themselves from when they were young. And so they say that all the events that we can remember are not just experiences of the external world, but are also experiences of our body, which is always present. And so I think this is really, I think, with aging, I think it's very interesting because you live your mid part of your life like, I'm going to do what I want and I'm strong and whatever, and blah, blah, blah. And then you get older and your body really starts changing. It starts to break down. And your physicality, your ability to hold things at bay maybe, or to hold your representation of yourself in a particular way, it changes. And so I think that there's a certain aspect of the way that we start remembering aspects of our younger life. Things pop up from our youth that weren't there previously, because the change is occurring and things are, it's like, oh, I can't do that anymore. So suddenly you're remembering yourself doing these things when you were much younger. Anyway, zombie Tom Hanks, not fake memories. I mean, maybe, and if somebody put fake memories in your head back then, but the idea is that the recall is that you could adapt this illusion of seeing your younger self so that you could create an intervention to aid memory recall in people with memory impairments. So for various reasons. This is a paper, Illusory Ownership of One's Younger Face Facilitates Access to Childhood Episodic Autobiographical Memories. I love this though. Illusory ownership of one's younger face. I put a fake baby face on you. What? It's kind of funny. And it's a real paper, and there's like real figures of baby faces, the illusory stimulus face versus the modern face. And this is just created using Snap camera software. Very simple software these days. Mm-hmm. You too could inface yourself at home. Mm-hmm. And I want to invite Blair back, but she is not available right now. And we've gotten to the end of the show. I've gotten through all of my stories. She's gotten through all of her stories. Should I make another video to add to? I don't know if she's going to come back or not. I'm not seeing a note here. Wait. Nope. That's an old message in my chat from Blair. Should I make another video on Canva? Should we do, it'll take a minute to do that though. Let's see. I'm going to make a video of cat with baby face. Yeah, cat with baby face. That's 4 words. Let's see if I can do that. I don't know how much it'll let me do this before it's like, no, you must pay more money. It's fun. All right, so I think this is the interesting question, Pepsi Cola, right? How to differentiate false memories from real memories, and that is the big question. And they didn't access that. They didn't talk about that at all. They just said it was more detail to certain remembered events, as opposed to determining whether or not they were false or real. And so I think that would have to be another level of really ascertaining what's going on there. Oh, we're almost done with my video. I think that's a really good question. I don't know if Blair's coming back. Do. Oh boy, what have I done? Oh, that is not what I wanted. With, let's see. So in this video, my prompt was cat with baby face, and it gave me a very interesting cat. Meow. Oh, it looks lovely. It looks like it wants to eat something. Oh, there's my cat on the back of a leopard. Here, let's go back here. This first one I think is hilarious. I said cat on the back of a leopard, and I don't know why this cat has a flight hat on. Like, it has flight goggles. And it's got some kind of wrap. I don't know. And then here's my cat with a baby face staring into the sun. You'll burn me. Oh, wait. And here's my lifelike cat on the back of a leopard. That is really bad. Good gracious. What have I done? Oh, wait. And this one, here we are finally. Here we go. This is terrifying. Look what I've done. Okay. This is fun. Okay, the new prompt is cat with face of baby, because I'm only allowed to have 5. Look at those teeth. Ah, the tongue. Oh my God. Oh, this is so bad. That was terrible. Oh my God, what have I done? This is terrible. Thank you, Canva. Thank you for that. Oh, the internet. Oh, the Canva. That was amazing. All right. I am going to finish the show. I don't know when Blair's coming back, so we're going to finish it up. I was trying to wait for the end of the show for Blair, but I haven't heard, and she hasn't come back. So, yeah, we're going to jump scare with that cat. I know. Oh my gosh. The teeth and the tongue. That was so creepy. Oh my gosh. You know. There it is. Let me get to the right pages. I'm not going to look at, I'm going to look at it. I am going to look at it again. I really am. Well, I think we've come to that time of the show where all the shows are done. All the shows? No, all the stories are done. And it's that time. Thank you all for being here for this episode of This Week in Science. I love having you in the chat room, and I love being able to laugh with you at so many aspects of life and science. It's good to be able to find humor and stuff. Thank you for that intelligent humor. And yes, have we done it? Is it the end? I think it is. Unfortunately, we've gone through our stories for the night, and it is that time where I loved saying thank you. So thank you so much to all of you for being here in the chat room and watching live. Thank you to those of you who are listening or watching later. Thank you to people who help with the show. Identity 4, thank you for recording the show. Fada, thank you for your help with show notes and with social media. Thank you, Rachel, for editing the show. And thank you to all of our Patreon sponsors. Thank you to Aaron Anathema, Adam Mishkan, Alan Viola, Ali Coffin, Andrew Swanson, Artem, Arthur Kepler, Bob Calder, Bob Coles, Brendan Minish, Brian Carrington, Chris Wozniak, Christopher Dreyer, Christopher Rappin, Craig Landon, Craig Potts, Dana Lewis, Daryl Myshak, Dave Wilkinson, David E. Youngblood, Don Mundis, Donathan Styles, aka Don Stylo, E.O., Eden Mundell, Eric Knapp Flying Out, Fredis 104, G. Burton Lattimore, George Corris, Greg Briggs, I miss you, Jack, Jason Olds, John Atwood, John McKee, John Ratnaswamy, Johnny Gridley, Ken Hayes, Kent Northcote, Kevin Parachan, Kevin Reardon, Kurt Larson, Lon Makes, Lauren Gifford, Mary Gertz, Marjorie, Mark Hessenflow, Noodles, Patrick Pecoraro, Paul D. Disney, Paul Ronovich, Philip Shane, Pierre Velazarb, hello, PIG, Richard Badge, Robert Norland, Robert W. Farley, Rodney Lewis, Remy, Rudy Garcia, Remy Day, Sean Clarence Lamb, Shoe Brew, Stephen Alberon, Steve Leisman, aka Zima, Sue Doster, Teresa Smith, Tony Steele, and Vegard Shefstad. Thank you all for your support. Thanks for helping to keep this show going. Thank you so much for believing in us and enjoying what we do. And those of you out there who want to help as well, please head over to TWIS.org and click on the Patreon link. That's the easiest way to get involved and get your name to be on this list. We also accept payments through PayPal if you'd like to help us that way. But TWIS.org is the website if you would like to head there. Oh my goodness. On next week's show, we're going to be back again live on Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific time-ish, broadcasting live from our Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook channels. If you want to listen to us as a podcast, you know we are This Week in Science, wherever podcasts are found. And if you enjoyed the show and your friends don't listen yet, get them to subscribe as well. Grab their phones, put us in there, whatever platform they use to listen to stuff. Say, hey, there's this podcast. It's really awesome. And get them to listen as well. Because then you can talk about this stuff the way that we like to. For more information on the stories that we talked about tonight, anything else you heard on the show, our show notes and links to stories are going to be available on our website, TWIS.org. Tomorrow they'll be out there, put in there. And you can also sign up for our newsletter. Wait, it's Blair's newsletter. Yeah, it's Blair's. That's what it is. We love your feedback. If there is a topic that you want us to cover or address or a suggestion for an interview, please let us know. One of our social media accounts, that's a good place to go if we're still out there, or you can send us an email. Just put TWIS in the subject line so your email doesn't end up in a colonial funnel web spider's web above a stream in a really dark cave, because we're not going to be there. No, we won't. We look forward to discussing science with you again next week. And if you've learned anything, absolutely anything from today's show, remember, it's all in your head.
This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science, it's the end of the world. So I'm setting up shop, got my banner unfurled. It says the scientist is in, I'm gonna sell my advice. Show them how to stop the robots with a simple device. I'll reverse global warming with a wave of my hand. And all it'll cost you is a couple of grand. 'Cause this week's science is coming your way. So everybody listen to what I say. I use the scientific method for all that it's worth, and I'll broadcast my opinion all over the earth. 'Cause it's This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 I've got one disclaimer, and it shouldn't be news, that what I say may not represent your views, but I've done the calculations and I've got a plan. If you listen to the science, you may just get
And now we are in the after show. And Blair is gone. She's hung up without saying goodnight. I understand how it goes. She has definitely caught a sleepy, tired child on her hands tonight. So I wish her well in putting Brian to bed. No, I mean her other child. And I missed saying goodnight. I always love being able to say goodnight, but I'm glad you all are here and we can say goodnight. Blair's child is spy. I love it. Thanks, Paul. That's funny. Oh, wait, here she is. I missed this one because I was in the middle of it. Trapped in a funnel web. That's exactly what happened. Sorry that I didn't get to say goodnight, Blair, but thank you for popping in with that. It was great to have a show with her tonight. And I really, really do think that it was wonderful to have Virginia on. It was great to hear her tell us what she's been learning. She's been doing some amazing reporting. She's been doing reporting like this for a really long time. And if you go back through her website and stuff related to budget and the federal government and equity, DEI, representation, she's been writing about this stuff for a really long time. So she's not a newcomer to this topic, which I think is really important. And the work she's doing is incredibly important. Yeah. Virginia is a legend. That's right. She's great. She's been doing such great work for a while. And I can't wait. I mean, I'm sure, I don't know. I'm not sure, but I would love to be able to say she's an incredibly award-winning science writer, environmental journalist. Oh, I didn't even think of that, Blair. The time change. How is everybody doing with that time change? This was the easy time change. The one in the spring is the hard one for me. Yes, I think that she deserves an award for the work she's doing because, it's one thing for me to sit here and talk about science, but it's another to go as a reporter, as a journalist, and doing the legwork of talking to all of the people and holding everything that they're holding so that you can write your articles, right? You have to learn what they think, what they feel, the experiences that they're having, the context, all of it, and you have to hold on to it to be able to accurately report a story. And so it's similar to what Ed Yong went through after reporting on COVID, and he and so many other COVID reporters talking with people who were experiencing long COVID, talking with people who had lost family members, talking with people who were going through so much. I feel like it's another emotional, not just the political crisis, but there is a lot of emotion being held right now. And people like Virginia who are doing that work are so important. So important. And she she said she didn't want to start crying because, of all the conversations that she'd had. I almost started crying. I was like, I'm gonna start crying too. Oh my gosh. I can feel it. It's so real there. It's a lot. Paul Disney, are your sleep habits really that super controlled? Maybe do you not sleep? Is that what it is? I don't know. Yeah, no time change is easy with young kids, zombie Tom Hanks. But I mean, not even the time change, there's just the change in seasons. And there's a poem in, I think it's like Robert Louis Stevenson's, there's like a book of poetry or stories that I have from when I was young. And there's this one poem in it, which it's something about, I hate to go to sleep when something like to go to bed at night. I'm going to find it. I can find that one. Um, um, maybe here it is. Do you all know this one? Bed in Summer. This is like, I love this poem. I grew up with this one. And I used to think about this, and now living in Portland, I think about it even more because in the summer, the sun goes to bed at like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And so, it's very different in other places. But I could imagine Robert Louis Stevenson maybe he's probably in England somewhere, in London, dealing with a similar kind of northern. Okay, here it is. Stevenson began studies at the University of Edinburgh in 1867. So very far north. Then he married somebody. Oh, she went to San Francisco. Stevenson followed. Then went to Monterey, California. I don't think I knew that. There's this whole thing I'm learning here. And then he got married in San Francisco. Oh, that's great. And then everybody went back to England where they were sick or where he was sick. It's so good. Wow. And then he went back from England, Britain, to New York. They were going to move to Colorado and then went to the Adirondacks. What? Then he went to the Hawaiian Islands. This dude went everywhere. Ended up in the Samoan. He purchased a 400-acre estate in the Samoan Islands. He adopted a Samoan native named Tusitala for story writer and became locally political. What the heck? I had no idea. What is happening here? Okay, sorry. I just went on a little Robert Louis Stevenson rabbit hole. Okay. Bed in summer. In winter, I get up at night and dress by yellow candlelight. In summer, quite the other way. I have to go to bed by day. I have to go to bed and see the birds still hopping on the tree or hear the grown-up people's feet still going past me in the street. And does it not seem hard to you when all the sky is clear and blue? And I should like so much to play to have to go to bed by day. Good night, Blair. Good night, Blair. And I will say, Eric, wow, heading toward 5 hours and 20 minutes of daylight in December. Ouch. The solstice, the winter solstice is a reason for, is it a reason for celebration or not up in Alaska? How was my Halloween? It was fantastic. I had a great Halloween. Except for the fact that my son is now 14 and he was invited to the same friend's house where we've had a routine it's a tradition for many years now, really 10 years now. We go to his friend's house. We would take the kids around trick-or-treating. The last couple of years, the parents hang out at the house and the kids have started going out trick-or-treating by themselves. And this year I dropped him off there and there was no parent hangout. And it was just, I didn't know what to do. but I have other friends. And so I went over to another friend's house and helped give out candy and hung out, and it was wonderful. It was great. I dressed up as Amelia Scarehart. um, yeah, it was a little. It's one of those transitional Halloweens where it was the first time in a very long time I was able to do what I wanted on Halloween, and I was a little. I was a little like adrift. Yeah. hmm But it was fun. So my friend at his house, he makes it a very fun, like rave-o-rama kind of a house, and he's a DJ, so he puts out speakers and plays music. And this year it was K-pop Demon Hunters. Like so much. It's Portland. It's raining, pouring rain, and we have these kids come into the door in raincoats or sopping wet. And it was adorable because there's like this one group of girls who came through and their hair's all braided like in K-pop Demon Hunters, and they're requesting songs, and then we played the K-pop Demon Hunters songs, and they all stood there and sang and danced, and so there was a little kid dance party. It was kind of awesome. It really was great. Um, and I sat there looking at all the parents frazzled with their kids, trying to get their kids to come and have this experience and get the candy and takes candy from strangers. What? Who does that, right? Um, and I was looking at them and I was like, I hope that you're enjoying this because it's gonna go away. Yeah, we've reached that point, but that's where I am. Yeah. Aw. Yeah, the independence is coming. He's still 14 and needs, a lot of parenting, but at the same time, he is growing up really fast. But I like it's also kind of a weird time as well because he is using social media, and as much as he is he's a thoughtful, curious child. And he's able to think things through. He's able to listen to different arguments. But it's, the social media world that we're talking about. And he recently, like, I think I posted about this on Blue Sky yesterday, that he came to me this week and he's like, showed me, it's like, haha, isn't this a funny reel? And it was some guy, like, wearing a suit, like in a podcast kind of background with a desk and some little funny Halloween thing going on. And I was like, oh, that's cute. Haha. And then I looked and I'm like, wait a minute. Who is that person? Yeah, I've seen that. What is that? He goes, I don't know, some influencer podcaster guy, Nick Fuentes. And I was like, what? And so then we had a whole rabbit hole talking about politics and uh, ideologies and white supremacy, Christian nationalism, and you know the multi-pronged strategic efforts for pushing propaganda and changing the way that people see things in the world. It was a really great conversation. We had an amazing conversation, but I can't keep I can't stop thinking about what if we didn't have the kind of relationship where he didn't bring that to me. Like, what if we didn't have that relationship? What if he didn't show me things? What if he didn't talk to me about this stuff? What if he didn't want to talk about it? What if he was like, oh, mom, whatever, which he does sometimes. But this was, and it's also trying to approach it in a way that he'll find interesting, right? Have the conversation. So it's like, oh, wait a minute. That's weird. Let's look at this together. Yeah, hopefully he won't look at those clips anymore. But anyway, if anybody knows or is a parent of young kids who are on social media, be aware that the strategy is to create these little fun clips and things that are agreeable, stuff that's happy, and it's a foot in the door all over the place, and it's really scary. So, yeah. Yeah, luckily I have made a safe space for a safe space for him. And I hope I we need that. We need that a lot right now. We need to be able to have these conversations. We need to be able to talk about this stuff, and we need to be able to, really talk about like how to be a good person, and how to be kind, how to be compassionate, and also not get swayed by propaganda. La la la. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I don't know. My friends were asking me this weekend, what news do you read? What do you watch? How do you know you're not getting taken advantage of? And I was like, it's such a question, right? Like it's a whole process. I triangulate. I try to see multiple sources. I have sources that I know are great for fact checking. Um, I don't post something unless I know it's true. And when I do mess up, I try to apologize and delete it and fix the mistake. Um, it's years, and it's just so hard to just be like, oh yeah, just, this one particular news channel. No, you have to like spend time watching lots of news channels or reading lots of news outlets, finding lots of different things. I don't know. I think I don't know. I have lots of thoughts. I had a really amazing experience last week, and unfortunately was not able to get back in time for the show because of the way the flights turned out. But got to be part of a conversation in Washington, D.C. last week at the National Academy of Sciences. And it was really interesting being able to be in the room with people who, aren't so much talking about this stuff, but are trying to counteract the, or at least work around the impacts of the decimation of federal science funding and federal agencies. And so, with all this stuff and knowing it's going to affect the pipeline for students, it's going to affect the pipeline for the tech workforce, it's going to impact the research output for different areas for the foreseeable future. How do we put in stopgaps? How do we band-aid it? How do we keep working on it? And I'm really, I don't know that any decisions were made, but I was really heartened to see that there was so much so much going on. Paul says, my parents like to accuse me of letting myself get brainwashed by CNN, MSNBC. They never seem to understand that I don't watch TV. Yep. I think that's so funny. And it's true too. Oh my God. I don't ever watch TV. I just watch fun shows. That's what I like to watch. I like watching stuff online. I like watching stuff on shows. Pepsi Cola, the conversations matter. And I think maybe that's part of it also. We've all gotten used to this one way. Like the news said this. I got my news. Now I know things. And that's where your opinions came from. Like that's it. Okay, now go talk to people. Come on, everybody. Oh, Mariposa. Hi. So good to see you. How fun. Yeah. But the conversations are the essential part. And that's the part that I hope that we can, that we're modeling here on the show and here with you, is that the more we talk with each other, the better we'll understand each other and accept each other despite our differences. That's what it is. I don't know. I grew up at a dinner table where all that was talked about were politics and religion. So I am never going to be the good, like, non-controversial invite to your dinner. Just expect me to say the things. Oh, did you? Let's talk about it. What you said this. What do you really think about that? Tell me not to say something. I will say it somehow. It is my gift. That's just the thing. Okay. Yeah, our parents, our grandparents, it is a different generation. And yeah, TV, it used to be the end all be all, and it's not anymore. I want this. Can we make this a bumper sticker and a t-shirt? I love this. Yes. Why not? Why not? Please. Mhm. I am honestly like, it's like, oh, that's forbidden. Blah. I'm gonna bring it up. I try really, really, really hard on the show to know what people don't want to talk about and to avoid them. But when it's dinner table, it's not on camera. It's not on camera. It's probably going to come out. Just ask my husband. Oh my God. So many awkward dinners with people. Kiki. He's kicking me underneath the table. Oh my God. All right, everybody. Yeah, but anyway, this last month has been very, very amazing in terms of people I got to be around and conversations that I got to hear and not interrupt with my awkwardness. Um, and so we'll see. I have hope. Like this last month really, really filled me with a lot of hope for the direction that science could potentially go, that there are other pathways. No, I think it's a work in progress. There's a lot getting broken right now, though. So let's fix what we can, right? What's in your life? What can we fix? I'm going to figure out how I can go donate some food pretty soon because I think that's important right now. Let's help our local neighborhoods, communities. Let's help where we can. Oh, okay. November 10th, the 50th anniversary of the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Isn't that? Wait. It's Gordon Lightfoot. That's the song, "The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald." I love that song. It's like one of my favorites. Is there going to be a party for that? The Great Lakes Freighter sank in Lake Superior. It is a sad story, though. But it's a beautiful song. I really love that song. Gales of November. Ooh, they've gone down there and they've 1975. Oh man. I say 50th anniversary. I don't want to hear about that stuff anymore. Yeah, there's probably a memorial in the area for sure. And yes, going back, Eric, yeah, I saw your answer about the 21st and the winter solstice, the weather more than the light. Well, I hope that it is amazing weather for you this year. Excuse me. I need to go to bed so that I can take care of that 14-year-old in the morning. And I can also take care of some work that I need to do. And also, I want to help save the world and stuff. So I'm like trying to work on that, whatever little way I can. If anyone wants to help, let me know. In the meantime, sleep well. So good to see you and wonderful to chat for a minute. And I'm sorry I missed last week, but I'm so glad I was able to be here with you this week and that we will see you next week for sure. If I say goodnight, Kiki, and then say goodnight, Kiki, it's just all very weird. But thank you, Paul. That's right. We're all going to get out of here. Have a wonderful week. I hope you find incredible sleep so that you're rested, stay healthy, stay well, stay sane, ha ha ha, stay curious, and of course, stay lucky. See you next Wednesday. Have a good one. Good night.